Just under 50 days from the first real test of 2024, the Iowa caucus. Now, Trump is leading nationally, we all know, by a lot, and he's also leading in Iowa. He's at 47% in the Hawkeye state, according to the RCP average. His closest competitor is Ron DeSantis, of course, the governor of Florida. He's at 17%, Nikki Haley trailing in third with 14. It's not really surprising that Haley, because of where the things stand, has turned her sights on DeSantis. According to one top campaign finance expert, her super PAC has spent $3.6 million against the Florida governor. That's $25,000 only against Biden. And against Trump, she spent zero. Now, as I've said for months, there's Trump, and then there's everyone else. But there's the battle for number two, and that's between DeSantis and Haley. That's why I offered to host a debate between the two on the Angle. Only one, Governor DeSantis, has responded, and he accepted. He joins me now. Governor, good to see you tonight. Why do you think Nikki Haley has not responded yet?
Well, she probably wouldn't like what the debate would be about. I mean, I think she has taken very, very establishment-oriented positions. We know she had the social media proposal to force everybody to give their names, which we know would be weaponized against conservatives. Anybody that's been alive for the last 3 or 4 years knows how that censorship regime works. She's also said no limits on immigration, that CEOs should determine our immigration policy. No, I think immigration policy should be what's in the best interest of the American people and American workers. She also took the side of Disney against the state of Florida and against us protecting our kids. We had a debate about making sure that our young kids in elementary school were not subjected to sexualized curriculum and transgender ideology. We were right to stand with the kids. Of course, she sided with the corporation. So I think she's just fundamentally out of step with Republican voters. I think she's relying on liberal media to prop her up. But I'm game for the debate. I'll debate any of these folks. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting and very informative for the viewers and for people out there who just kind of want to know more about, who's number two and number three and who should really be in second place at this point. By the way, on that issue of immigration, there was a new report out, Governor, by the group Doctors Without Borders, and it said at least 400 female and child migrants making the journey to the U.S. border have been brutalized in so-called rape tents. In October alone, 107 rape survivors, including 59 people in a single week, they were treated. The youngest victims were 11, 12, and 16. We know the Biden administration, they don't care. They don't care about the collateral damage and open border policy. But how would President DeSantis confront this issue? Would you deport people who are here now and to deter people from coming and thus save the fate of these young women who are being brutalized?
Of course. If there's not a sanction for coming illegally, you're never going to stop the problem. So we'll declare it to be a national emergency on day one. We'll send troops to the border. We'll stop the asylum fraud. We'll do Remain in Mexico. I'm going to charge fees on foreign remittances to be able to fund construction of the border wall. But yes, when people come illegally, we are sending them back. And we've got 8 million that have come under Biden. We need to send them all back. We don't know who they are. They've come from all around the world. They've come from Iran. They've come from Russia, China, the Middle East. There will absolutely be prospective terrorists that have come across. I think there will be a terrorist attack that we'll be able to link to our border. He's put our people in jeopardy. But we also have to understand, why do you have sex trafficking? Why do you have human trafficking at this level? It's because the Mexican drug cartels are running the show. So we're going to categorize them as a foreign terrorist organization, authorize the use of deadly military force because they are invading our country. Yeah. They are committing all these serious crimes, but they're killing tens of thousands of our citizens by bringing fentanyl. And that's going to every community in the country. It's not just border communities. And I've met so many angel moms over the course of the last year, year and a half, who've lost a child, usually a high school or college-age kid, to a drug basically being poisoned. They may take a pill that's laced with fentanyl, and then that's it, and they die. We've got to stop this.
Governor Bob Vander Plaats, I know him. He's the influential Iowa faith leader. He recently gave you his endorsement, which is coveted in the state. But now there are questions surrounding the money he received from groups linked to your campaign. Now, he was asked about this last week on Special Report. Watch.
DeSantis campaign, a super PAC linked to him, a nonprofit group supporting him, together paid $95,000 in recent months to the Family Leader Foundation, according to campaign finance reports. Is that not true, or that's true?
Well, it's definitely true, and I'd encourage everybody to read the Reuters article. Everything we do is above board.
Governor, the allegations, obviously, or the inference here would be that it was like a pay-to-play to get an endorsement. You have a chance to clear that up.
Well, this PAC I don't control, as you know, but they paid for advertising. So that's a very influential group of evangelicals in Iowa. They've hosted a number of major events. They had a summer event. We just had the Thanksgiving Forum. So they're paying to be able to be in programs and to be able to advertise the candidacy. And that happens. That's frequently happened. But Bob Vanderplatz's endorsement is not for sale. He's got a great reputation. He's become a friend of Casey and me along the way. He's very influential in Iowa. And so it's a scurrilous charge. It's without merit. And, you know, if somebody endorses somebody other than you, you don't always have to lash out and attack the person who made the endorsement. It's a primary. People can have different choices in this, and there's not always an ulterior motive. So I think the attacks against Bob Vanderplatz have been out of bounds, just as I think the attacks against Governor Kim Reynolds have been out of bounds.
And Governor, you're racking up a lot of faith endorsements. Nikki Haley, and I've tweeted a lot of this out, or X'd out. We say X'd out now. But the donors, big donors, are turning out for Haley now. I actually think that's not a bad thing for you. I actually think that's that says a lot to me about why they think she, should get the money, or she should get the nod from them. What does that tell you, and does it concern you regarding your own finances?
No, we're doing very well. We've consistently outpaced her, and fundraising will continue to do that. But I think that what it shows is I have consistently proven that I will do what I think is right, regardless of what donors say. We've taken on Disney. We've taken on Big Pharma. We took on the sugar industry in Florida when we did our Everglades plan. So I've been able to do that. And my view is let the chips fall where they may. Do what you think is right. Don't twist yourself in a pretzel to try to kowtow to people just for donations. And oh, by the way, a lot of the folks on Wall Street have policy positions that are just anathema to the American people. You will not win an election in this country nationwide if you're adopting their platform. I think we've seen that with Republicans who've tried to do that in the past. So I'm doing what I think is right. I think we'll end up being much better off for that throughout this process.
Governor, finally, a question I asked my previous panel. Disturbing numbers coming out of fundraising from the RNC as compared to their Democrat counterpart organization. Are you concerned under the leadership of Ronna McDaniel that the party is not raising what they need to raise to help in some of these other races across the country, and obviously nationally as well?
Well, we'll be able to fix that as the nominee, just like I did in Florida. We created a juggernaut in the state of Florida. When I became governor, we had 300,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans, and we never had more R's than D's in Florida history. Now, after 5 years, we have 670,000 more registered Republicans. We took a swing state. We turned it into a red state with a 20-point victory. When you produce leadership and success, all those fundraising issues solve themselves.
Well, that's a question,
you need
Governor.
somebody who's leading the charge. You need somebody who's leading the charge, like I did in Florida, who's going to inspire people to want to support the effort because they see that your vision is going in the right direction.
So
we
no
did that in Florida. We'll be able to do it nationally.
So you think there should be no change at the RNC? No change. It's working out well?
I called for change after the midterms. I was the only presidential candidate running that called for change. I wasn't running at the time, but my view was we've lost all these elections in a row. Why are we continuing to do it? But here's the thing. As the nominee, I will be responsible for doing it, and I will get the job done regardless of who the chairman of it is. I led the drive in Florida. I'll lead the drive nationally. We can do it. We just need leadership.
Yeah, we need a Republican Party that has a message beyond just, Biden bad. Governor, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.